Hello everyone and welcome to another backstage video. I'm really glad you're here. Did you bring any snacks? So back in May of 2023, I purchased a painted collection of older sci-fi miniatures. This isn't the whole batch right here, but it is a representative sampling. And yeah, it was definitely a discretionary purchase, but in my defense, the cost averaged out to only about $4 a figure. And since all the minis are already painted to a nice tabletop standard, they're not adding to the pile of shame. They're pretty much ready to hit the table as is. In fact, I deployed a few of them just last week for a game of Space Weirdos at our FLGS. So these guys are pretty cool, but they are mostly big, chunky metal minis with a few plastics thrown in. And as you can see, they are quite a bit beefier than our old school plastic Cadian there in the middle. Here's a look at some of the monopose plastics that came with the collection. Still pretty cool, I think. Here are some more medals. These guys could be Space Marine Scouts or some kind of post-apocalyptic warriors. So I'm fairly confident these are old Warzone figures from Target Games, mostly because I found a few of them in this 1999 Target Games catalog. So Warzone is one of those games that kind of existed on the periphery of my awareness. I had heard about it, and I knew it was somehow connected to the Mutant Chronicles RPG, which itself has apparently spawned a whole slew of related media, including a 2008 movie featuring Ron Perlman and John Malkovich, which is crazy. Anyway, the Warzone IP is still alive and kicking even after all this time, though in different incarnations. I guess Protos Games had a game called Warzone Resurrection, and a company called Res Nova Games recently completed a successful Kickstarter for a new release entitled Warzone Eternal. Anyway, just for fun, I thought we could flip through this old catalog from 25 years ago and check out some uber cool minis from the original Warzone tabletop miniatures game. This appears to be the first issue of the Target Games Miniatures catalog, at least in this format. So a lot of the minis I bought in my acquisition back in May aren't in here. And about half of this publication is dedicated to Chronopia, which was a fantasy game put out by Target Games. Perhaps we'll delve into that in a future video, but for now we're going to focus on some Warzone. Out of respect for your time, we won't go through every single page, but there are a few things here I think are especially interesting. Here are some figures from the Dark Legion faction, which would make pretty good Chaos Cultists and or Renegade Imperial Guard, I think. I do kind of like these robed initiates. They kind of remind me of Redemptionists from Necromunda. And the Reaper of Souls, who could be some kind of big bad hand-to-hand cultist. So here it looks like we have a few squad sets. We have the Undead Legionnaires at the top, the Alien Templars, and the Acolytes. So there's definitely a Chaos Cultist, Chaos Warrior type vibe going on here. Jumping ahead a few pages, this is the Bauhaus faction. And they have a pretty cool hovercraft skimmer there, as well as riders on Lizardback. Here's a page from the Brotherhood faction. I think you could build a pretty good Inquisitor's retinue from these guys, particularly the Sacred Warriors and the Pilgrims. And let's not forget this guy here, Cardinal Dominic. He definitely looks like he could hang out with the Inquisitors or maybe a bunch of Sisters of Battle. These Morning Wolves look like a cross between Sisters of Battle and Harley Quinn. You could also use these gals for Necromunda or any type of dystopian world gone mad tabletop game. Here we have some Warzone terrain kits. This Imperial Bridgehead is something else. I'm not quite certain what it's made from, probably cardstock I guess, but it's still pretty cool. And finally, here are some very useful looking Warzone terrain pieces. If I was to find a few boxes of these at a swap meet or such at a decent price, I certainly wouldn't turn them down, because those are some very nice looking scatter terrain pieces and objective markers. The rest of the catalog is devoted to Chronopia, which I don't know anything about really other than it is a fantasy type game. If you know anything about Chronopia, please leave a comment in the comment section and tell us all about it. Alright folks, that is our quick look at some classic Warzone miniatures from Target Games. At least I think these are all Warzone miniatures. If I got that wrong, please let me know. We'll be back shortly with some more dispatches from the Inner Sanctum here, but until then, I hope your week is going well. Thank you very much for supporting the channel, and we'll see you next time.